All right, Lady Ada, what is this?
Hey, it's the end of civilization, but you're still stuck with us. No, it's me, Lady Ada, with me,
One
Mr.
civilization ends, another one begins.
Right. God closes the door and blows it up. He opens another one. Okay. We got show and tell. People come around from around the world, show off what they're working on, hacking, coding, soldering, videoing, making music, and all that good stuff. Let's check in with some folks in the Adafruit community.
We have a lot of cool new things that we're going to show on Ask an Engineer and Top Secret and stuff, and a lot of things in progress. And this is some of the Adafruit team that you get to see some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yes.
From like our meetings that we had like earlier today. So
this
we're going to start off with Scott.
Development.
And whoop, Scott went away. I was just about to click Scott. Scott went away.
Want to go to?
Well, we're going to go to Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Hello.
Congrats. You win. You're lost on the island.
So it has been Mac week. I mean, it's Marchintosh. So
yes, Happy Marchintosh. Did you make your own emulator on a RP2350?
I did not make my own emulator, but I'm in the process of porting someone else's very fine emulator. So we've added some cool features that work with the Fruit Jam. You can do your keyboard and mouse on USB using the PIO peripheral rather than the host side connector. And you can even get a 4 meg Mac emulated when you use the PS RAM. So that's really exciting. Another thing that Lamore decided would be nice is audio support. And so I've been working on that. And it is an interesting little audio setup. There's a buffer that's 370 bytes long. And that number 370 is the number of lines on the CRT, both the visible lines plus the invisible lines, like the vertical retrace lines. And so as it's scanning out the video, it also scans out the audio buffer. So anyway, it's a little bit weird. But what I've done is this emulator UMac can be built to run on your desktop Linux PC, or it can be used inside of PicoMac. And I've got the audio working in PicoMac. So I'm going to drag this up, and we're going to hear a beep. And then over here at the side of the screen, this red line is going to show the audio waveform. There you go. So audio is added to the host version of UMac, and I'm working on bringing it over to the RP2350, so you'll be able to enjoy the beep. And if you don't like the beep,
it's a very nice beep.
You can drag it down to 0, and it flashes the menu bar instead. So it's for people who want to hear a beep and people who don't want to hear a beep.
You have so many options. Yeah, and so we what's interesting is today, Jepler and I, we kind of
brainstorm
because what's fascinating is the way the hardware works, because you're saying it's a coincidence. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming they must have designed it, or they figured out the timing. So the refresh is 60.15 hertz. And that means that with 370 scan lines per horizontal syncs per second, it multiplies out to be 22.25.
It's about 22 kilohertz, but it's a weird number.
It's slightly 22.255, whatever-ish. And so the audio really needs to be, your emulator needs to be running as fast. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like the clocking of the data from the RAM into the sound buffer is dependent on the hardware, not the other way around.
Right.
So if your emulator is running fast or slow, you have to kind of sync up what it thinks it's running at. Like it thinks oh, I'm running the scan rate at 60 hertz, like 60.15 hertz. But if you're emulating, you're not going to be exactly. It's going to be plus or minus a little bit. And so you have to kind of resync the data. And so you looked at VMAC and the way they did it, they sample the data buffer because the buffer is written and you have to keep up with it.
Sampled it in a very specific way, like dividing the whole frame into 16 pieces or something. And then Basilisk is like, we don't like any of this. We'll just replace the operating system audio driver with a whole driver that is new. And because you had a different idea, which is when it updates that last sample number 369, that's when you know you have a whole group of samples that are good. And that's what this is doing. And it seems to work. But I've only tried this thing that plays the tone. And something you'll notice, if you look at the shape of it, it repeats several times and it doesn't shift vertically. So watch, whoops, wrong mouse. Watch how it does it. I don't know if it's coming through at a high enough frame rate.
Yeah,
on
you
here.
can see it. It's like,
but it's like at a multiple or a divisor of that 60 hertz. So if your buffers get torn by doing half of the audio from one frame and half from another, it'll sound fine. So I need to also load a program that's doing something more complex with sound, like actual audio synthesis or polyphony or playing a sample, and see whether it still works. But yeah, that's where we're at, and I'm hoping tomorrow to get some beeps to come out of the fruit jam.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well,
before I go, I just wonder. So I think this cap was from the 2020 Open Source Hardware Summit, but I have not been able to find out what this logo is, and I get asked by people like, "What's that logo with the hands?" So Discord, YouTube, crowdsource.
Well,
let me know what this logo was, because I didn't find out. This one we know.
Yeah.
But this one I'm not sure.
Know.
Oh. It's interesting with everything with Apple right now in the news with AI, and then we're showing this operating system from 40 years ago. The collision of the two. Interesting timing where we get to figure out, because you could hold up an iPhone to that logo and press a button with Apple Intelligence, and theoretically it'll try to look up where that logo came from, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I've tried it with Google's, but it's not. Yeah. It's not able to do it. It's like, you can go shopping for blue hats.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I was looking for.
It tries to sell you a blue hat. That's actually the end of the story. It's just like, whatever it is going to like, do you want to buy one?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
All right, cool stuff. Do
right.
you need me to come up with a program that'll run in the 400K SRAM that'll generate interesting audio? Because I can probably look up.
I don't really know where to look for Mac software. So like literally bringing up the control panel is about all I've been able.
No, that's what I was like, this is a great way to test.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, we can just keep going, but I know that there's a lot of good programs that will run on like the Mac Plus. Like I remember audio program stuff, but I'll find something for you that's.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's something that needs 1 or 4 megs, I can at least test it on the desktop version.
Oh yeah, good point.
And that'll tell us a lot. But I'll keep working on it and keep you all updated. So
Todd from the chat mentioned this, and we should have probably, for folks who are familiar what this is going to be running on and is running on, a $1 microcontroller. You can emulate Mac OS.
I mean, that this would work, so I'm kind of
right.
impressed.
Like this is really cool. I think we talked about. That's what we talked about. We're like, oh, can we do?
This has been on my list for literally 6 years.
Yeah, to-do.txt is a magical place. Okay. One other thing. So let's try. Someone try to find what those the heart with the 2 hands is.
Yeah.
I know where the gear logo came from. And then, the other thing that would be interesting is after we make our own little beep for Fruit Jam, which we're working on, I'm going to try to figure out, is there any way to know an estimate of which computer beep, like startup sound, got the most plays in human history? So it would have to be
probably Windows XP.
Windows XP, really? Yeah,
really?
That was installed.
But it could be something else. There could be something else. But it probably is. Maybe Windows Home or something. Okay.
Brian Eno
all right.
wins this one.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Cool.
Okay.
Great work, Jepler.
Yeah. All right. Scott, welcome back. Scott's a terminal.
Thank you. I tried to share a window and my browser crashed.
Wow.
So,
what you got going on?
So I've been using the Cloud Codes thing. I did a Python library for LVGL's binary font format. And I've wanted to, for a while, support wide characters, so not just kind of like skinny characters like Latin, but also wider ones. So what you're seeing here is I have emoji loading, so lots of snakes and lots of keyboards. So this is a font that is hosted on the file system, and it loads the characters as it needs them, which means that you can have a lot more characters that you could potentially use than just the ones that we bake into the firmware. And in fact, for languages like Japanese and Korean, we don't bake any font in. So this actually will allow us to do terminal I/O with those languages with an external kind of file system hosted font instead of a font that's built in. And it also allows us to then have all the emoji for for us English.
cool.
But the important ones like snake and keyboard.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So, well, we actually use snake and keyboard in the status terminal now. So this is how you'll know whether like CircuitPython found the keyboard you plugged in, for example.
That's really handy for us. It's a little snake. It's a nice thing.
Yeah, and we can do a mouse that way too if we want. But yeah, you know, I like emoji, and so I'm excited to. I was thinking about like the retro computers and how they have like custom like glyphs or graphics to be able to assemble things together and make simple games. And emojis are just like obviously the answer for what the modern version of that is. So there's this font I should give credit to. It's called Unifont, and it's like a project that their goal is to have a 16 by 16 font that covers the entirety of Unicode. So they've got all these great like bitmap emojis and stuff.
That is a good mission.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And so we'll be able to do all of the different languages and stuff there too. So I was trying to get Japanese working, but it turned out that it used a different way to look up the character maps, and so nothing was showing. So that's what I'm working on tomorrow, is getting Japanese going as
That means we can do all sorts of custom keyboards later. Today we posted up a math keyboard with a bunch of math symbols. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, Scott. And I think we'll have some more. Where can people get their hands on this if they wanted to tinker around with it?
So we have a bitmap font Python library that loads stuff, and you can use it in labels and things. That is now updated with the LVGL support for the binary format. So check that out. And then I have my own branch. If you go to my GitHub, like github.com/tannewt/CircuitPython and just hit branches, you can see the branches that I've been updating most recently.
Cool.
And that's a good way to keep an eye on what I've been working on.
If anyone wants to join in with their requests and help out, now's the time too. So stop by the Discord. And
yep, and I won't. Tim's deep diving this week because I'm out of town, but next week I'm hoping to be back deep diving for a little while.
All right, thanks so much, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay.
Alrighty. Now, speaking of, hey Tim, what do you have going on this week?
Hello, I have been working on the Metro RP2350 with some mouse stuff. So I have the USB host pins soldered on, and I have one of these nice USB adapters with just a basic little cheapo Logitech mouse, and we're able to move the mouse around in CircuitPython right now. And last night I was just kind of tinkering around trying to think of something fun to make, and I made this little drawing program that can draw rainbows, and then I had it mirror horizontally, and then you left click to draw, you can right click to clear, and then I hooked up center click to actually draw the little line where it mirrors so that you know where that's going to happen. You can draw some faces and stuff like that. And you can turn that back off with center click. And then I also found out last night when I was messing around with this, I have this little kaleidoscope on my desk that I got at a toy shop in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and I realized it makes all these crazy, funky, cool, neon-looking shapes when you point it at the screen. It's kind of hard for me to get it perfectly lined up with the camera all the time. But it can make some super cool stuff by just clicking around a little bit here and then look at it in the kaleidoscope. I was having a lot of fun.
Really cool.
Just going through these last night.
That's a neat hack.
Yeah.
I'm digging it.
Yeah, so we have lots of mouse stuff coming up. There's a memory game that uses the mouse that's in the works. This one's probably not necessarily big enough for a full guide, but I'll throw it up on GitHub or a playground page or something like that if people want to play with the rainbow.
A guide with it, but can you make one that's 6 ways? So you make snowflakes.
I think so. I'll have to find the right math to do it. Yep.
I can do it.
But it should be easy enough. I did. Yeah. I had it mirroring both X and Y a little bit last night, and that was kind of cool as well. And yeah, the idea of doing 4 or 6 or around in a circle or something like that definitely crossed my mind. So yeah, I'll look into the 6 and figure out what. It
just reminds me, when you made snowflakes in school, you like fold it in 6 and then you cut it and then you open it.
Yeah, totally.
Inspired me. All right, cool. Very beautiful. I love the class. Yeah. What a great I don't know, the coincidence.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah. It's almost like the folks using the Pepper's Ghost on top of like phone screens. There's all sorts of things that around us that, that technique's been around for a long time, but now there's cell phones and you can have like a little 3D looking thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Alrighty. Thanks so much, Tim. And thanks for coming by.
Thanks, Tim.
For sure. Yep. See you guys.
Bye. All right. We worked really late tonight, all the way down to the last second. So we're going to end show and tell. We didn't have anyone else lined up in the chat. So we're going to use this opportunity.
Booked.
Yeah, we're going to use this opportunity to actually set up the show so it's not like, oh my God, it's the last second. And we'll see.
There's been a lot of that.
We have a gigantic show coming up. We'll see everybody next week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. This is Show and Tell. We're here every single week. Come by, show and share your projects and more. And next week, if all works out, we're going to have a special guest. There's a Kickstarter. It's OpenMV, and we will have...
I love those guys.
That's right. We're going to talk all about it. So come by, and there'll be announcements.
It's Python hardware.
There's going to be announcements and more. So be ready.